I kept the night shift log when everyone else stopped writing the truth, and that is why an audit almost cost me friends I never actually had. I am 35. For 14 months, I worked nights at a regional warehouse that moves boxes you order when you cannot sleep. Concrete floors, high racks, a break room that always smells like burnt coffee and hand sanitizer. My title was something soft like operations associate. My real job was making Bay 12 move without drama. Nights are a different country. The day crew leaves notes that pretend to be instructions. The night crew turns those notes into survival. We had a lead named Craig who smiled with his mouth and timed people with his eyes. We had a scanner system that required a clean chain from pallet to truck. We had a paper log binder by the supervisor desk because corporates still loved ink when cameras made them nervous. The log was simple at first: time, door, seal number, who opened what, who sealed what, exceptions in one ugly column. I wrote in it the way I pay rent: on time, complete, boring. Around month 4, Craig started saying the binder was slowing us down. He said, "If the scanners are green, we are green. Paper is theater." People laughed. People always laugh when a lead offers them an easier life. The first night, the binder stayed blank for 2 hours while doors still opened. I filled the gaps after break from my own notes. Craig saw me and said I was creating work. I said I was creating a timeline. He said, "Cameras exist." I said cameras exist until someone needs a story that is not on video. For a while, nothing exploded. That is how bad habits earn tenure. We hit rates. Trucks left. Someone from day shift once asked why the binder looked thin. Craig said we were digital first now. I kept a small notebook in my locker anyway. Not dramatic, not a spy kit. Just times, doors, and initials when something weird happened. A seal that did not match. A pallet that arrived with a torn wrap and a shrug. A temp worker who scanned the same location 3 times because the system lied or he did. I told myself I was protecting the building. I was also protecting myself. Those two motives can share a page. The first real crack came on a Tuesday in winter. Door 9 opened for a carrier that was not on the night list. Craig waved them in because the day side had called him personally. No paper, soft voice, just get it done. I wrote it in my notebook. Carrier name, time, who waved, seal if any. There was no seal. That bothered me more than the unlisted truck. 2 nights later, a claim email hit the shared inbox. Missing product. High value enough that people stopped joking. Day management wanted the log. Craig produced a binder page that looked clean and incomplete. He said the night of the claim had been normal. I did not correct him in the meeting. That is the part that still sits wrong in my stomach. I watched him build a soft story, and I let the room believe it because I wanted my shift to end and my body to stop humming. Then I went to my locker and stared at my notebook like it had become a weapon. I photocopied 3 pages on the office machine when nobody was looking. I put the copies in an envelope under the spare floor mats in my car. I am aware that sounds unhinged. Warehouse nights make unhinged feel like hygiene. For 2 months, the missing product noise faded into the usual gray. Craig got friendlier when rates were good. He bought pizza once. He told me I was one of the reliable ones, which is how people brand you before they need your silence. I almost stopped the notebook. I did not. In March, a whiteboard by the time clock grew a new line in red marker. Corporate audit, site visit, 2 weeks out, process compliance, inventory integrity, training records. Craig called a huddle that felt like a campfire story with worse coffee. He said, "We clean the binder, we clean the floor, we smile, nobody freelances." Someone asked what freelancing meant. Craig looked at me for half a second too long. I kept my face empty. That week, the binder suddenly became popular. People wrote neat lies in neat rows, times that matched nothing, seals that were recycled from old habits. Door 9 became a ghost again. I wrote the truth in my notebook, and the polite fiction in the binder when Craig stood near enough to see ink move. Split books, split self. 3 nights before the audit, a young guy named Lewis pulled me aside by the vending machines. He said, "If they ask who trained me on seals, what do I say?" I said, "You say the truth about what you were shown, not what you wish you were shown." He looked scared in a way that made me feel old. 2 nights before the audit, Craig asked me to initial a catch-up page that filled gaps he had invented for the claim week. Neat times, neat seals, a version of history that would photograph well. He said, "You are already the reliable one. Make the binder match the story we are telling." I said I would not initial a night I had not lived. He said that was a choice I would remember. I initialed nothing. I dated my refusal in the notebook like a receipt. The audit team arrived on a Thursday that smelled like floor wax. 2 people in jackets that did not belong to dust, clipboards, soft shoes. One of them loved the word sampling. They sampled doors. They sampled training folders. They sampled the binder. They asked for camera windows around the winter claim date. Craig went pale under warehouse light. I was called into the small office with the broken blinds because my name was on more clean entries than anyone else's. The auditor with the calm voice asked how the night log worked in practice. I said, "There is the binder people perform for, and there is what actually happens at 2 in the morning. She asked if I had examples. I said I had a personal notebook with times and doors, and that I would share it if they protected me from creative storytelling by leadership. I hate that I negotiated. I also refused to pretend I was pure. I wanted a job after this. I wanted Luis not to be the sacrifice. I wanted Craig's pizza friendship to stop counting as a contract. They took photos of my pages. They compared them to camera bookmarks. Door 9 on the unlisted night sat there like a bruise. The binder's clean version did not. I was not in the room when they spoke to Craig. I saw him later by the racking, phone to his ear, free hand flat on metal like the building might tip. By Friday, the site had a new temporary lead from another building. Craig was on leave pending review. That is corporate for the story is being written without you. They asked me to help reconstruct a month of nights from my notebook and the cameras. I did. It took longer than anyone wanted. It made me less popular than silence would have. A few people stopped talking to me in the break room. One guy muttered, "Snitches," loud enough to audition for a worse movie. Luis thanked me once by the time clock and then looked away like gratitude was contraband. I still work nights. Different lead, stricter binder, fewer jokes. The coffee still burns. My rate is the same. My break room is quieter. Corporate sent a training module about documentation integrity that everyone clicked through in 4 minutes. Here is the confession part people want cleaner than it is. I did not keep the log because I am a hero of process. I kept it because I have been blamed before for a mess I did not design, and I refused to walk into another one empty-handed. When Craig sold pizza and belonging, I still wrote times. When the audit board went red, my notebook became the only chain that still matched the cameras. If you are waiting for me to say I feel proud, I feel useful and lonely in the same breath. The building is more honest at 2 in the morning now. That does not mean the people are. I go home at dawn, put my notebook on the kitchen table, and sometimes I do not open it. Not because the truth is gone, because I already know what it costs to be the person who still writes it down.